I was in second grade, I wanted to be president. I'd heard that they had a bowling alley and a movie theater in the White House, and as a kid, that sounded like the coolest fucking thing in the world. I've never bowled a day in my goddamn life, okay? I just wanted to be president because that sounded like fun. And I thought, how hard could it be to make sure the people in your country are happy? How hard could that be? So, obviously, this isn't a fun video, okay? But I'm making it anyway because I think that everybody deserves a platform as long as that does not negate anybody else's existence. And I have so many talking points. So many. And they're not in order. But the country right now, it's scary to exist here. It's scary to exist here. When the switch in office happened, okay, my dad said, I'm so happy you're going to finally have a future. I was worried you're going to have a future. And I told him, I am no longer safe. I'm no longer safe. I'm no longer protected. He's like, you're safe. You're protected. I'm like, yeah, okay. And if I were to get assaulted, and that resulted in pregnancy, would I be able to get an abortion? Would I? He's like, that's still legal here. Okay. And what if when it's not? What if I'm in a different state? What? Me being somewhere where it's still legal currently does not mean that there aren't people in other parts of the country where it's not legal. This is a very real, like, genuinely scary situation. We no longer have reproductive rights. Okay? We're going to start here. Reproductive rights. Okay? Reproductive rights. It's so... I don't even know where to start. We're so fucked. We are so fucked. Okay. I believe, because that's what this is, right? It's my beliefs, and honestly, I don't think my beliefs are really out there. I believe that everybody should have the right to their own body, okay? Man, woman, non-binary, doesn't matter. Everybody should have the right to their own body and what they do with their own body, okay? The only person who should be in control of a person's body is themselves. I believe in abortion because abortion is healthcare. Do I believe in late stage abortion? I'm not for people killing babies. They're not babies. They're not. They are fetuses who cannot survive. Actually, it's not even who. That cannot survive without a host. They are not people. It's a fetus. It is a clump of cells. It has to have a host like a bacteria or a fungus. It isn't a person. And if the cells inside of the host, which is a person who has a uterus, okay? Because that's where things happen. That's where things are grown, okay? If the pregnancy is a risk to, first off, the health of that pregnant person, abortion is healthcare. Pregnant people die all of the time because they are denied healthcare. Because it's an abortion, we can't operate on you. For legal purposes, we can't. Do you know how fucked up that is? People are actively dying. Actively dying. Did you know that there's a woman who had a miscarriage? She wanted a child and had a miscarriage, and that was a crime because of the abortion laws in her state. It's so fucking wild. You should be able to do what you want with your body. If you do not want to be pregnant or do not have the means to take care of another human being, if you are barely taking care of yourself, if you do not want a child, if the possibility of a child was conceived by rape, you shouldn't even have to justify that. Yeah, of course you don't want to carry a rape baby. Nobody in their right mind would want you to have to carry a rape baby. Okay? You are well within your right to not want to do that. Not only that, there are children who are raped. And they just want these children to give birth and put their own lives in danger just because, oh no, an adult did this big horrible thing to you and now you have to deal with the consequences forever. And also take care of another person if you even survive. Do you see how crazy that is? We shouldn't be forcing children to give birth. We shouldn't be forcing anybody to give birth. The people who want children will get pregnant and will not have an abortion unless it is medically necessary. Nobody's just doing that shit for fun. Who would want to undergo major surgery just because? Nobody that I know. Especially with the way that the healthcare system is in America. Ain't nobody want to pay for that shit. Nobody wants to pay for that shit if they do not absolutely have to. If it is not medically necessary. Nobody's doing that shit for fun. It is not birth control. It is healthcare. It is saving people's lives. It is not killing babies. What is killing babies is the school shootings that nobody seems to be doing anything about. I remember being sat down after school in the first grade. Okay? And my mom and she just hugged me really tight and said, a lot of mommies and daddies don't get. I'm not gonna cry. I should be crying. I might cry. They don't get to hug their kids tonight, and they're not gonna be able to hug them ever again. I remember that so fucking vividly. I was in first grade. I was, 1 year older than the kids in Sandy Hook? 1 year older. Okay? And I went to school scared from first grade all the way through my high school graduation because nothing was being done about it. Every time we had a lockdown, that could have not been a drill because sometimes there were like threats or other things. And I remember how your heart races and you're so scared because it could be your last day on earth in a place where you're supposed to be safe. Children are supposed to be safe in schools. That is not a wild concept. They're supposed to be safe in schools. No child should go to school scared that they might not make it home. No parent should have to send their kid to school and be scared that they might not make it home. I was in first grade. First grade. Those children should have graduated the year after me. That's actively killing kids. Like, I don't understand why that's not a bigger deal. There are people massacring kids while they're at school. I shouldn't have to worry if my little brother's gonna come home every day. But that is the world that these greedy people have forced us to live in. And I'm not saying, oh, ban all guns. I'm not. Because honestly, if somebody were to break into my house, I would feel better having one. Because if it came down to them or me, I would choose me. I would, because they broke into my house and with intent to do harm. I would choose me. And it would make me feel better to have one. But it would make me feel better knowing that there were harsher restrictions to get one, and that it is against the law for them to not be safely put away. Because it's psychopathic people murdering children, and their weapon of choice is the most effective, and that is gun violence. I can't believe I even have to say, like, yeah, there should be more testing, like sanity testing, for you to own a weapon, okay? And I don't think that the average person should just have access to whatever kind of weapon that they want. Like, okay, for home defense, I feel like you shouldn't be able to have machine guns. Just because. I don't care if they're fun. I don't care. I don't care. I don't think we should ban all guns. I just think that there should be more regulations and more steps to try to limit the amount of people who can just waltz all up into waltz into a school and just start murdering people. Okay? I shouldn't be scared to be in a room with thousands of people, because who knows who's carrying and who's just one. What's the straw that's gonna break the camel's back? And just, what is it? I'm not. The Constitution says right to bear arms. But I don't think when the Founding Fathers wrote the fucking Constitution, they expected people to be murdering children and using that as justification for other people to continue murdering children. I know, I do strongly believe in stricter gun laws, because I had a cousin, and like education about how to handle guns, because I had a cousin. I no longer have a cousin. Okay? They shot themselves in the head. Okay? And we think it was an accident. We just think they didn't take the one out of the chamber. That's what we want to think. But they had access to it because it wasn't locked away. I believe in firmer gun regulation. I don't think children should be dying. There is no way to know who's a psychopath until they show you they're a psychopath. And by limiting the weapon that they choose most often would hopefully limit the amount of destruction. There are so many school shootings. So many. And they just keep happening. That's not something we should be worried about. That's a wild concept that it's just, yeah, it happens. And nobody in power is doing anything about that. Almost like the kids don't matter. Almost like it's about controlling other people. Almost like, yeah, no, I'm pro-life. Until they exit your body. And after that, we don't really give a fuck. We don't. Like, that's so fucking crazy. So fucking crazy. Alright, let me... Because that's... I don't even know. I just don't even know. Like, this is so wild that I have to be like, hey, this is fucked up. This is a terrifying world that we live in. Terrifying. Okay? I shouldn't have... Half of this shit shouldn't even be an issue. But it is. Because this is the situation we now find ourselves in. And even in the states where abortion is legal, it's not legal for long enough, because a lot of the states where it's completely or mostly banned, it's 6 weeks. Most people don't know that they're pregnant until at least like 5, because you have to skip your period. And depending on how far you are, you have to like, and some people still spot when they're, which makes it even hard when they're like first starting. Like that happens sometimes, and that makes it even harder to tell like if it's your period. It could be. It could just be really light this month. How would you know? They're taking away our health care. They don't want menstruation talks allowed in like elementary schools and stuff. That's when little girls get their period. Like if they don't know, and like their classmates don't, like I think everybody should know it is human biology. Okay? But if nobody tells these children, they're just gonna start bleeding all over the place and freaking out thinking they're dying. And if you don't think that's more of a disruption to learning than just having a lesson on, hey, your body is going to start changing as you get older and things are going to start happening. Do not panic. Instead of having that conversation, they're just going to panic. They are children. And they're like, bleeding is bad. When I scrape my knees, I put Band-Aids on it. You can't put a Band-Aid on that. I mean, you kind of do. Pads are kind of, doesn't matter. It's crazy how undereducated people are in that sphere of things, and in general, but like in that sphere of things, it's wild how many people are like, yeah, no, the pad just sticks to you, right? No, sweetheart, it sticks to the underwear. And it's a dizzying amount of people who just don't know anything. And they're just trucking along like that's fine. That's not fine. That's not fine. And okay, so I know I skip back and forth between reproductive rights and school shootings, but you can't let one fly under the radar and condemn the other if you're about saving children. You're not saving children. You are complicit in their deaths if you're not doing anything about it, and you're in a position of power where you can be doing something about it. It is not the government's place to tell us what is legal to do with our bodies. It is not their place. We have a separation of church and state so that everybody has the freedom to believe in whatever religion they want, but they do not have the right to force it upon other people. I don't care if you're Christian, if you're Catholic, if you're Jewish, if you're, oh god, there's so many religions, Buddhist, if you're, what's that other one? It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have the right to practice whatever religion you want, because the separation of church and state. You do not have the right to force that religion on anybody else. You do not have any right to use that religion to try to enforce or create laws that'll govern an entire people, because we don't believe in those religions. They don't govern us. Therefore, you cannot use your religion's logic to govern other people, especially when you're taking that logic and using it to spew hate. I genuinely, you're supposed to, like, we are humans, and humans are supposed to live in, like, peace and harmony and like have the best interest for humankind in mind and work towards bettering humankind. Why are we not doing that? We are all humans. We all should have the same human rights. It does not matter what you identify as. It does not matter what color your skin is. It does not matter where you came from, or where your family came from, or where you live. It does not matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter any of it. We are all people. We are all people. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum. Get that through your thick fucking skulls. We are all people. We should not be trying to control each other. We are people. We are all people. It is supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, for the people. It is not currently a government of the people, by the people, for the people. It is a government of the 1%. We are so fucked. We don't have that representation. We don't. We are not currently represented as a country, in my opinion. We're just not. Another thing, I don't think we, as people in this country, or in any country, I believe this is true for everybody, the people in a country should not fight the government's wars. If our government, or any government, decides to pick a fight with another government, and we don't agree with that, we should not be drafted to fight and kill other people. Is that wild to think? Oh, you want to invade and buy Greenland. I don't want to help you do that. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. I don't believe in war. I don't believe in killing each other to reach some sort of agreement that actually doesn't get you anywhere. It is just bloodshed everywhere, on both sides. People that don't have any business being dead because somebody else decided, hey, let's go to war. That doesn't seem right, even in the slightest. I think war is ridiculous. I don't see the point. I understand if you are trying to help another country gain their freedom, like World War II, where it took a ton of time and effort to, it was the Holocaust. It was the Holocaust. That's mass genocide. That's worth going to war to stop, in my opinion. But going to war just to take over somebody's land is not worth it. It's not. We don't even have the right to the land in America. We colonized the Native Americans. They were here first. We don't have the right to be here. We murdered people to be here. That's crazy. Crazy. If we didn't go about the, let's slaughter everybody course of action, who's to say we wouldn't just be living in peace? Who's to say? But we'll never know, because for some reason, the first course of action is always slaughter people. Which is ridiculous. We are all humans. We shouldn't be slaughtering each other. Ever. That's just senseless violence. Senseless violence. And I say that because there are innocent people who join the military and they go to fight and they don't come home. or they come home and then they become homeless because they can't, I don't know, nobody will give them a job. They have PTSD. They're a little mentally unstable. Who would have thought that killing people has an effect? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? And I also think homelessness is an issue in our country that should have been fixed a long time ago. I don't see why we have so many people living on the streets and so many houses that are just bought and empty by companies that just buy them and drive up prices or whatever, why ever they do that. There are people who could be living there, and it's a human right to have shelter, food, and water. There are still places that do not have clean drinking water. Half of our country is also on fire. The other half is actively freezing. Which means those are the two extremes, and they're getting more and more frequent. Climate change is most certainly real. It's backed by science. I've been hearing about the hole in the ozone layer for my entire life. I don't understand how you can just not, like, that's bad. The earth is actively dying, and we as societies are falling apart. And it's just, I don't even know. There are so many things that are wrong, and it's just stringing them together is so confusing. Because these shouldn't be issues. Everybody should have rights that are the same. Women should have rights. I don't know any of the politically correct ways to say things. LGBTQIA plus people should have rights. I want to say ethnic, but that feels bad. But I'm not trying to. If people of all backgrounds from wherever should have the same rights. I don't know why that's so hard to understand. We are humans. We should all have human rights. You should not be able to tell somebody, I don't believe trans people exist, therefore you just don't exist. That's not how that works. That has never been how that works. I've had somebody tell me, gay people are just wired wrong. It's not normal. Okay. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Because I know for a fact that person knows gay people. And what should matter is if they are happy and healthy and safe. Not who they choose to love, or if they're not attracted to anybody, or if they only want romance and no sex. It shouldn't matter. It is their body. It is their life. It doesn't have any fucking effect on you. And before you say, it's going to turn the kids gay, they're going to be gay no matter what. Okay? You are born gay. It doesn't just spawn in. It just takes some people some time to realize it. It is not a bad thing. It is not an evil thing. It is just the way it is. People can love whoever the fuck they want, and it is none of anybody else's business. None. Okay? Nobody else's business, as long as they're happy and healthy and safe. That is what we should want our kids to get out of relationships. Happy, healthy, safe. That's all they need to know. You can love whoever you want. Just be happy. Just be healthy. Just be safe. Feel like you are comfortable in your own body. That's what we should want. For our kids to be comfortable in their own bodies and in who they are. And that should be that. I'm checking my notes. Um, I think that our communities should be walkable, which is not a novel concept, I know. And I know that the the rebuilding of the infrastructure to have that done is like way expensive and like kind of sort of impossible. But even if we just switch to a different form of transportation, we used to ride horses with carriages. Why are we no longer riding horses and carriages? It would limit car accidents, lower emissions because nobody's driving cars. You wouldn't have to worry about gas prices. You would just have to feed and take care of another living animal, like a pet. That just happens to be big enough for you to take places. You can't go far distances, but that's what trains are for. I genuinely don't see why that's an issue. You also shouldn't just be allowed to deport people just because you feel like it. That's not okay. I shouldn't need to say that, but apparently I need to say that. I forgot to mention this point during the separation of church and state. You cannot force your religion onto other people or condemn them because they do not conform to your beliefs. And that is different than what I am saying here. Because I'm stating matters of human rights. Sure, there are some opinions thrown in there, and you don't have to believe my opinions, but the matters of human rights should not be up for debate. We are people. People should be treated like people no matter what. People should be treated like people until they decide to not treat other people like people. Does that make sense? I think you, as a human being, forfeit your human rights when you stop treating others like humans. If you do not have the compassion or even the just thinking about it even a little bit, if you do not treat other people like people and you think that they shouldn't have their human rights, what right do you have to have your human rights? If you are actively trying to take rights away from other people, what's protecting your human rights? I personally, not everybody's going to agree with this, I personally believe in the death penalty. But I believe in the death penalty for very specific crimes. If you commit murder and it is not in self-defense or vehicular manslaughter, like an actual accident, not on purpose, if it is if it is an accident or in self-defense, you should just either go to jail or be pardoned, because you wouldn't kill somebody if you that's an accident or self-defense. Like, those are justified. And accidents happen. We are driving around in tons of metal with moving, accidents happen. But that's the thing, it has to be proven to be an accident, because I believe in a fair trial for everybody. And the outcome of that trial needs to be the facts. And the way our judicial system is right now, it's not always that way. And our systems are also corrupt. That's not the way that is. I believe in the death penalty for murder. If you took a human life, what's going to stop you from taking more? At that point, it is just limiting the amount of human lives that are taken. The second one is pedophiles. You have no right to a child's body. Ever. That is The way that people's minds work is crazy to me. You have no right. That is never, there's no excuse. That's never okay. Ever. If you're a creep, then you're a creep. And to protect children, death penalty. Because if you hurt one and you get out, you're going to hurt another. And the victims should not be scared that their abuser is going to get out of jail and come back and find them and possibly do worse. Is there much worse? Probably not. Probably not. The big bad 3 bad things are on this list. And rapists. Death. Immediately. You do not have the right to anybody else's body. You don't. You do not. And the fact that you thought you did, they'll never be the same after what you did to them. And that's fucked up. That's even a thought in your brain. Death penalty. I do believe in it. And before you say, well, you can't be judge and jury, if you are defending murderers who did not do it in self-defense, or on accident, defending murderers, pedophiles, and rapists, there is something wrong with you if you are defending those people. Because they do not treat human lives as human lives. I don't know. I believe in the death penalty. I do. And I believe in public executions, if that is what the victim wants. If that is what the victim of any of those, or the family of the victim of any of those 3 things, if that is what they want, that should be an option. That should be an option. It should be up to them. I believe that with my whole soul. Because some things are just not redeemable. You can't go to jail and just come out a better person if you're a murderer just because. If you accidentally kill somebody in, say, a car accident, that's one thing. You can feel like shit about that for your entire life, but it is an accident. An accident. It's not on purpose. There's a difference. And I think people who are greedy should go to jail. I think people who live to make mass amounts of money and then swindle it away or don't do anything good with it and just hang on to it, they are greedy. And greed causes so many problems historically. Jail. I won't say death penalty for that, but I will say jail. I don't know. I don't think billionaires should exist. I understand, like, the lottery. Ooh, fun time. You win $1 million. Which I'm sure they take tax out of, and it's probably ridiculous. But you shouldn't be able to just hoard billions of dollars when there are people starving, people without houses, people who genuinely could use that money. You shouldn't be able to hoard billions of dollars when we have billions and trillions of dollars of war debt and student loan debt, and just the country has debt as a whole. And also there are people without the human necessities to live. What are you doing with your $1 billion that is so important, besides making you more billions of dollars that you can't possibly spend all in one life? There's nothing worth buying that isn't for fixing humanity at that point. And even millionaires, thin ice. And I think the rich, and I mean the rich, should be taxed more than the regular people, because that just seems to make more sense that they make more money. They should be taxed for making big amounts of money, and that should go back into society, and maybe that would lower prices Or, maybe hire some people, get people off the streets, help them work their way out of homelessness. I have a job. I don't have enough hours or enough pay to move, to live on my own. Like, I can't. And I know people who have been trying and trying and trying, and they've applied to hundreds of jobs, and they just don't get anything back. I think having fake job listings should be illegal. It should be. Shit. Because how are we going to run a society if we just lie to each other all the time? Like, I think in court, even in court, if your client says, yeah, no, I definitely did that crime, I'm definitely guilty, but I need you to prove me that I'm not guilty, that shouldn't be a thing. If you're guilty, you should deal with the punishment. It should not matter if you have a good lawyer who can get you out of it or not. It should be finding out the truth and convicting based on the truth. I don't know why that's not how it works. I genuinely don't understand. Anything fueled by pure hatred should be eradicated for the safety of humanity. Because hatred is what caused the Holocaust and is what caused a lot of war and a lot of discrimination, and just hate has never done anything good. Hate has never done anything good for humanity. Ever. All it does is kill people. Kill people, cause problems. If we didn't harbor hatred, there would be less issues. Because we would be living as humanity as a whole and not based on political party or any of that bullshit, which is all just a construct. And it's not a very good one. We shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to. The world is full of good and bad people. And if the bad people stopped pushing their hateful agendas, things would be better. Do you understand what I'm saying? Hate has never done anything good. Ever. I don't understand. In high school, I had this excellent English teacher. They were my favorite. And notice how I'm using they pronouns to keep anonymity. Feels like Finding Nemo when they can't say anemone. Anonymity. To keep them anonymous for their safety. And because they didn't say, yeah, go ahead, tell a story. It's just a experience I had. They told me, you should read The Handmaid's Tale. That's where we're heading. That was 5 years ago. They were right. And I've never read it, but I believed them because I trust them. And they wouldn't steer me wrong. They've never steered me wrong. And it's bad. It's really bad. I also think we shouldn't have left Afghanistan. We'd been there for 20 years. We did not implement any structure there to keep the people safe from their oppressive government. And we also left behind so much military equipment. I don't understand why we didn't take that with us. If somebody knows, I'd love for you to explain it to me, because that doesn't make any fucking sense. Because now their government is beyond silencing them. Women in Afghanistan have to be completely covered. They are not allowed to speak in public, and they're not really allowed to leave their house anyway. They are only allowed to whisper in their houses, and that's only sometimes. Education is plummeting so fast. People are not allowed to be educated. People are at risk of losing their jobs or have lost their jobs because they're supposed to stay home. That's so fucked up. And we didn't leave any supports there to keep the uprising from happening. And that's fucked up. I don't think we should have abandoned them because things are going backwards, so far backwards. And unfortunately, it kind of mirrors what our government is doing because, first off, there's a thing going around where it's like, women shouldn't get educated because they're supposed to be at home with the children. We are not incubators. We do not owe you fucking anything. You are not entitled to our bodies. You're not. And besides that, they are banning books. There's a list going around of banned books. I don't know if it's a list of books that will be banned or if it's a list of books that have in the past been. I don't know. For sure, I don't know. However, banning books is never good. You are just withholding knowledge. And if you are withholding knowledge, that means you have something that you don't want people to find out. How does anybody think that's okay? In some schools, Harry Potter is banned because of witchcraft. That is the whole point of those books. The Perks of Being a Wallflower is banned in some places because of sexual contact. The kid is molested by his aunt. I read that book in the 8th grade because we did a section on banned books because they are important to read because they have a message that somebody doesn't want you to know. It makes it all that more important to know. So read all of the banned books that you can because banning books is just pushing some kind of agenda. There are so many books out there. You can pick and choose what you want to read. You can pick and choose what you want to read. Nobody's going to force you to read anything. But the fact that people are banning books means that they don't want you to know certain things or get a grasp on certain things or see that certain things have been an issue and how those things turned out. Banning books is not constructive in any sense. Not constructive. It's not. It is only a detriment to society. Also, personally, banning a social media platform and then immediately the next day being like, it's back, y'all. That's controlling people. Considering it was banned in the same administration as it, or it was said to want to be banned. And then, oh no, I changed my mind, I want it back. The ban didn't even last 24 hours. And the error message was very strange. I saw it because my brother had TikTok. I have never had a TikTok. Whoa. I think the cost of goods is increasing because of people's greed, not necessarily because the cost of goods has increased. It's just because they want a higher profit margin, and that's fucked up. If you make enough to survive, we should be able to buy the goods at the price that it makes so you can survive, but so we can also survive. There are things the other day that have tripled in price just because. That's really fucked up. Having that big of a profit margin is absolutely wild, and that's just contributing to the poverty of America. Like, that's not helping anything. Um, Back to deporting people, which should not be allowed. We're supposed to be a safe country for people to come to who want a better life. We preach the American dream, and instead we're living the American nightmare. The American dream died. We used to be a safe place for people to come to who are looking for a better life. We should still be that safe place, and we are not. How do we get back there? We should be back there because people are supposed to feel safe here, and we don't feel safe. I also think that we should be doing more about like human trafficking and like non-consensual porn or any porn. Maybe not any, because like that is some people's job, and it can't, like I said, can't tell them what to do with their bodies. Not my business. But it has to be consensual. Absolutely has to be. If not, it's rape or assault. And I feel like we should crack down on that more instead of, banning social media apps and doing these, oh, something's wrong here, but the real problem's over here, and I cannot see. Like, that's ridiculous. We should be solving real problems. The way that the porn industry has warped people's brains is absolutely wild. And human trafficking, we should definitely be doing something about that, because I feel like every time I hear like a mail order bride joke, I'm like, hey guys, that's human trafficking, right? Like, you're just joking about that just to joke. Like, that's not funny. You shouldn't be able to buy a bride. That's human trafficking. You can't just buy a person. That's slavery. Buying people has been illegal for a long time. Maybe don't. That's illegal. That's illegal. No buying people. That's bad. Shouldn't have to say that either. Also, everybody see that Germany 1942 salute that happened? That's not okay. If that shows any indication of where this country is going, we should all be very afraid. And we should very much be doing something about it, because that's really, really bad. And there are videos going around like, oh, but it's this. No, it's not. There are comparison videos of stills of people waving, and their arm just happens to be up a little bit. And they're like, that's the same thing. And then you watch the videos, and they're like, hi, thank you. That's not what he did. That is not what he did. He did the big bad thing. The very big bad thing. That big bad thing that we all swore would never happen again. I don't know if never is what they actually meant. That's horrific. Horrific. There are I don't even know, like, this shouldn't be a problem, and yet it is. I don't understand. I don't get it. That shouldn't be a problem. It really shouldn't. And yet it is. Like, just speechless. We are failing as a society. Our leaders don't have any business leading a country, first off. Because here's the thing. let me collect myself. Also, I forgot my train of thought as I was coming out of my mouth. Fuck, I had a really good point, and now it's really not in there anymore. Okay. Our leaders are businessmen. They have been businessmen this entire time. They are all for making money. They are in the business of money. They are not in the business of doing what is best for a country. They've never been in the business of doing what is best for a country. They are in the business of making money for themselves and keeping that money for themselves. They don't care about us. They don't. They are in the business of making themselves money. They're not very good at it. They swindle it away so fast. Why should they be trusted to run a government? Also, I don't think criminals should be able to be president. I don't. I really don't. I'm pretty sure that criminals can't even vote. What business do they have running a country? What business do they have? None as far as I'm concerned. And I also think there should be an age cap on members of any political office. Because at a certain point, you are not up on current events. There was a Supreme Court justice or House of Representatives representative that was in a nursing home. They couldn't find him. Them. They couldn't find him. They were in a nursing home. People are sleeping during important meetings. At a certain age, retire. Enjoy yourself. At that point, you're more likely to have like a lack in your cognitive abilities in comparison to when you were younger, because that's what happens when you get old. Sometimes you get sick, and sometimes things get confusing, and sometimes you just get sleepy. But you should not be in office if you are any of those things. Like, you, at a certain point, you're so old that you are not current on the issues, and at a certain point, you are not making the best decisions for everybody. You're making decisions based on your beliefs and not on what is the main big picture goal for society. I also think that we should lower the age for running for president, because right now it's 35, right? It should be like 26 or 30. Your frontal lobe should be fully developed, but you should not get into any office so old that you won't see the lasting ramifications of your actions. I believe that you should be in and out before you can, so you can watch what you did to society. Good or bad, you should be able to sit back and watch. And if you're doing big bad things, you should feel like a piece of shit. And a lot of us young people, we're not represented in those offices or those spaces because the age gaps are above us. And we're young, and people don't listen to other people who are young because you don't know anything. You haven't had enough lived experience. No, but I grew up learning that you should treat other people nicely. And that just because somebody doesn't look like you, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person. There are bad people that could look just like me. There are bad people that do look just like me. There are bad people that look like people who are not me. There are bad people everywhere. And it's hard to discern who is who. But we shouldn't judge based on what you look like or what you present as. That's none of our business. You can't change where you were born. You can't change what color your skin is. You can't change what features you have. That's a lie. You can, because I believe in body affirming, gender affirming care. But we can't judge you based on your choices in that either. Like, if you want gender affirming care, you should be able to get gender affirming care. Like, I don't, like, it's none of our business. It should be your choice. You should have that choice, the ability to make that choice. The government is supposed to be of the people and for the people. This government is not of the people or for the people. It is the straight, filthy rich pigs of the 1% that, and if you haven't noticed, we are not the 1%. We are the majority of the country. And us normal people have every right to be scared because they're businessmen first, and they're in the business of making themselves money. They do not care about us as long as we make them money. If our leaders do not represent most of the working class, the normal, average people in the country, what business do they have being our leaders? If they do not understand us as the people, if they have no interest in bettering the world for us, the people, why are they the leaders? And again, criminals shouldn't be running the country. It's wild how far backwards we've gone, and it hasn't even been a week. It hasn't even been a fucking week. And we are ass backwards. Ass backwards already. And it's scary. Because we have... I also don't think if you've been impeached that you should be able to run again. Like, hey, you were so bad, we didn't want you for the full term. And so you just get to go again? That sounds like bullshit. Oh, and the fact that Meta is following... random accounts are now following the government pages that they were not following before. So make sure you keep checking just to make sure you didn't get forcibly herded into the following. Because there are people who have woken up and been like, I was not following any of these people before, and now I am. And that's really strange because their beliefs don't align with mine. And you know what? I maintain that second grade me, who just wanted to go bowling in the bowling alley, would have been a better president. I genuinely believe that. Because in second grade, I believed in human rights and being kind to one another. And oh, looky here, I still believe in human rights and being kind to each other. And that shouldn't be radical. That shouldn't be. We're all... I'm going to say it again. I'm going to sound like a broken record. We are all people. We should all be treated like people. Equal people. That shouldn't be up for debate. Everybody should have human rights. And most of those things on that list are human rights. And we do not currently have those human rights. So take that as you will, because this is ridiculous. And I've been not sleeping and instead practicing the speech, and it'll never be as good as it was in the middle of the night. Ever. It'll never be as good. But it's here now. Because I can't do much, but this is something. This is my platform. It is a safe space for everybody who thinks that people should have human rights. And if you don't believe that people should have human rights, then you can get the fuck out, because I don't want you here. I don't want anything to do with you. So. Okay. Go ahead, because that's it. I can't. I'm gonna hang up now. I know this is a serious video, but if I lose my hang up streak, I'll cry. I'm gonna hang up now. This is a serious video. I don't even think I'm gonna post it Saturday. I think I'm gonna post it right now. I don't know. I just genuinely, it's a scary time. Remember that I love you, and you will always be supported by me as long as you believe in human rights. So, goodbye. Good luck. I'm here. My comments section is a safe space. It's safe. I'm not doesn't matter. Okay? So I'm gonna go. Next week will be a fun video. Use my videos to cope if you want. I'm sure as hell using them to cope. I can't. If I think about it too long, I'm going to spiral, and I just can't do that. Because I have to go on. So I'm gonna hang up now. Actually, one more thing. My 77-year-old grandpa is more okay with gay people than my dad is. My dad's father is more okay with gay people than my dad is. That's ass backwards, isn't it? You'd think it'd be the other way around. It's not, though. Human rights, everybody should have. Every single person should have the same human rights. Okay? That shouldn't be up for debate. So I'm gonna hang up, think about it. Hopefully any of this video made sense, because I just kept going and my notes were so out of order, and it was bad. I'm sorry. But I had to, because I've been doing the speech in my head for 4 days in a row. I'm tired. I got 3.5 hours of sleep. And it's a scary place to be right now. Okay? Do your own research. Make sure you're getting it from reputable sources. And those are my thoughts from a nobody on the internet.